started as a harmless game, but when the board spelled out "run," we realized we had invited something that would never let us go. The spirit game. If you're reading this, it's too late. The words were scrawled in deep red ink across the top of an old yellowed instruction sheet. Beneath them, a set of rules. Strict, ominous. Never play alone. Never break the circle. Always say goodbye. Mia's hands trembled as she unfolded the brittle paper. The spirit board in front of her seemed to hum with an unseen energy, its planchette resting dead center. The dim candlelight flickered violently, though there was no breeze. Behind her, her friends whispered excitedly, unaware that the game they were about to play would change everything. It would unleash something they could never put back. A week earlier, Mia had found the board in an antique shop downtown. Unlike the mass-produced versions in toy stores, this one was different. Hand-carved, its letters and numbers etched deep into aged wood. An intricate design of symbols ran along its edges, ones she didn't recognize. The shopkeeper had hesitated when she picked it up. "You sure you want to play with that, sweetheart?" His voice was hoarse, wary. Mia had laughed it off. "It's just a game." Now, as she and her friends sat in a circle in her dimly lit basement, she wasn't so sure. The room was small, the only light coming from a few scattered candles. Shadows danced on the concrete walls, stretching unnaturally with each flicker. The air smelled faintly of old books and dust, mingled with the waxy scent of burning candles. Jake, her best friend, leaned forward, his grin wide with excitement. "Okay, everyone ready?" His girlfriend, Lily, adjusted the candles around them, making sure they wouldn't accidentally tip over. Mark, the skeptic of the group, sighed loudly. "This is stupid," Mark muttered. "You guys actually believe in this crap? You scared?" Jake smirked. Mark rolled his eyes. "No, I just think this is a waste of time." "Then prove it," Mia said, pushing the board toward him. "Put your hands on the planchette. If it doesn't work, you can. Say, 'I told you so.'" Mark hesitated before giving in, placing his fingers lightly on the wooden piece. One by one, they all did. Mia took a deep breath. "Let's begin." She closed her eyes and whispered the words written at the bottom of the instruction sheet. "Spirits beyond, hear our call. Come to us, speak through this hall." For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the candle flames stretched unnaturally tall, flickering despite the still air. A chill crept into the room, subtle at first, then undeniable. The planchette moved. Lily gasped, Who's moving it?" "Not me," Jake whispered. The wooden piece glided across the board, slow and deliberate. H-E-L-L-O. Mia swallowed hard. "Who are we speaking to?" The planchette shifted again. T-H-E-O. A strange static filled the air, a pressure Mia couldn't explain. Mark scoffed. "Okay, very funny. Who's pushing it?" "No one." Lily's voice wavered. The planchette jerked suddenly, moving faster. D-O-N-T-L-E-A-V-E. The candles blew out. Darkness swallowed the room. For a heartbeat, there was only silence, thick, suffocating. Then came the whisper. "You shouldn't have called me." Mia's breath hitched. The voice was neither male nor female, neither young nor old. It slithered into the room like a living thing, curling around them. Jake fumbled for his phone's flashlight. but the screen stayed black. What the hell? Turn the lights back on. Lily's voice was barely controlled panic. Mia reached for the matches, her fingers trembling. A spark, then a small flame flickered to life. The moment the candle relit, she wished she had stayed in the dark. Mark sat frozen, his face pale as death. His eyes were wide, unfocused, staring at something beyond them. The planchette was still beneath his fingers, but his grip had tightened. "Mark," Mia whispered. His lips parted, but no words came out. Then, a guttural sound tore from his throat, a choked, inhuman noise that made the hair on Mia's arms stand on end. His back arched violently, and his hands clenched into fists. "Mark," Jake's voice wavered. Mark gasped suddenly, his body jerking as if an invisible force had slammed into him. Then, just as quickly as it had started, it stopped. He slumped forward, breathing heavily. The candlelight flickered over his face, and for a second, Mia could have sworn his eyes weren't his anymore. They looked darker, too dark. Mark exhaled slowly, lifting his gaze to hers. "I think we should stop," Mia said, her voice barely above a whisper. But Mark only smiled. And it wasn't his smile. Lily was the first to break the silence. "Mark, are you okay?" Her voice was soft, hesitant. Mark blinked slowly, his expression unreadable. Then, as if nothing had happened, he let out a shaky laugh. "Geez, guys, that was weird," he muttered, rubbing his temples. "I must have just blacked out for a second." Mia exchanged a nervous glance with Jake. Blacking out wasn't normal, especially not in the middle of a spirit board session. "We should stop," Mia said firmly, reaching for the board to move the planchette to goodbye. But Mark's hand shot out, grabbing her wrist. "No," he said sharply. His grip was ice cold. Mia's stomach twisted. She tried to pull away, but for a moment, he wouldn't let go. His fingers dug into her skin. Then, as quickly as he had grabbed her, he released her and leaned back with a smirk. "Relax," he said, rolling his eyes. "It's just a game, all right?" Something about his voice didn't sit right with her. It was still Mark's, but there was an edge to it, like someone else was speaking through him. Jake cleared his throat. Yeah, I think we've had enough fun for tonight. Let's call it a night." Lily wasted no time blowing out the candles. The second the flames died, a heavy weight seemed to lift from the room. Mia hurried to pack up the board, shoving it into its box without bothering to fold the instruction sheet properly. As she did, she noticed something. The writing on the paper looked darker, almost wet, like the ink had been freshly applied. Her heart pounded, but she forced herself to shake it off. "It's just my imagination." The group made their way upstairs. The basement had been chilly, but the rest of the house felt even colder, as if something had seeped into the walls. "Anyone else feel weird?" Lily asked as they reached the living room. Jake nodded. "Yeah, like the air's heavier or something." Mark stretched his arms. "You guys are overreacting. It was just a dumb game. Nothing happened. Nothing." Mia wasn't sure what was more unsettling, the board's reaction, or the fact that Mark was acting like it hadn't happened at all. "Let's just get some sleep," she said, forcing a smile. "We can talk about it tomorrow." Lily, Jake, and Mark agreed, heading to their respective sleeping spots. Jake and Lily curled up on the couch while Mark took the recliner. Mia retreated to her bedroom, but she didn't turn off the light. Something was wrong. That night, Mia didn't sleep. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying the night's events in her mind. The board, the voice, Mark's change. At some point, exhaustion took over. She drifted into a restless sleep, her dreams hazy and strange. Then, a creak. Mia's eyes snapped open. The house was old and noises weren't unusual, but this was different. It was slow, deliberate, like footsteps. Her breath caught in her throat. From her bed, she could see the hallway through the open door. A shadow moved just outside her room. Her pulse thundered in her ears. "Jake," she whispered. "Lily." No answer. The shadow shifted again, then, slowly, her bedroom door creaked open another inch. Mia's entire body went rigid. "Mark," she whispered. Silence. Then the whisper came. "Don't leave me." Mia shot up, reaching for her bedside lamp and flipping it on. Nothing. The hallway was empty. The door was still slightly ajar, but no one was there. Her breathing was uneven as she grabbed her phone and checked the time. 12 a.m. She hesitated before stepping out of bed, her feet touching the cold wooden floor. Slowly, she crept toward the hallway, peeking around the corner. Mark was standing in the dark. Her stomach dropped. He was facing away from her, standing motionless near the living room. His body was stiff, his head tilted slightly to one side, like he was listening to something she couldn't hear. "Mark," she called out hesitantly. No response. She took a slow step closer. "Hey, are you okay?" He turned, and for a split second, Mia felt sheer terror grip her. His eyes, they weren't right. Normally a warm brown, they now seemed darker, almost black, as if they were absorbing the dim light around him. His face was expressionless, but his lips moved silently, forming words she couldn't hear. "Mark." His mouth stopped moving. Then, in a voice that was barely his own, he whispered, "It's still here." Mia stumbled back. "What?" Mark blinked rapidly, his body swaying slightly. Then, as if nothing had happened, he let out a confused laugh. "Whoa, what are you doing up?" Mia's heart was racing. "You were talking just now." He frowned. "No, I wasn't. I just woke up." No, he was lying. He had been standing there whispering something. She had seen it. You don't remember?" she pressed. Mark shook his head. "No, I must have been sleepwalking or something." He ran a hand through his hair. "Sorry if I scared you." Mia didn't know what to say. He sounded normal. He looked normal, aside from the lingering unease in his expression, but something inside her screamed that it wasn't normal. "Not at all." "Yeah," she muttered, forcing a weak smile. "Just go back to sleep." Mark nodded and turned toward the recliner. As he settled back down, Mia hesitated before heading to her room. Just before she closed the door, she glanced back one last time. Mark was staring straight at her. She shut the door. The next morning, the atmosphere in the house was off. No one said much over breakfast. Jake and Lily seemed tired, exchanging glances but not voicing their thoughts. Mia sipped her coffee, watching Mark carefully. He was eating, acting perfectly normal, laughing at Jake's jokes, teasing Lily about her messy hair. But his hands, they were shaking. Something had changed in him, and Mia was terrified to find out what. The tension in the house was impossible to ignore. Mia kept glancing at Mark, searching for anything unusual. Any sign that what happened last night wasn't just in her head, but aside from his slightly pale complexion and the occasional tremor in his hands, he acted completely normal. Too normal. Lily picked at her toast, barely eating. Did anyone else hear something weird last night? Jake looked up from his coffee. Weird how? Lily hesitated. I don't know. It sounded like whispering. Mia's stomach clenched. She wasn't the only one who heard it. Mark let out a short laugh. You guys are just freaking yourselves out. It was probably the wind. Mia set down her mug. Then, why were you sleepwalking, Mark? Mark's smirk faltered. What? You were up, standing in the dark, whispering to yourself. Mia held his gaze. You seriously don't remember? Mark frowned, rubbing the back of his neck. No, I woke up in the living room, but I thought I just fell asleep there. Lily and Jake exchanged a nervous glance. You said something, Mia pressed, right before you snapped out of it. Mark shifted uncomfortably. Like what? Mia hesitated before repeating his words. It's still here. A heavy silence filled the room. Jake forced a laugh. All right, this is getting ridiculous. We scared ourselves last night. Big deal. We're making it worse by overthinking it. But Mia wasn't convinced, because when she looked at Mark, she saw it, just for a second. A flicker of something in his eyes, like he did remember. That night, Mia couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching them. They had all agreed to stay in the same room, huddled in the living room with blankets and pillows. No one wanted to admit it, but none of them wanted to be alone. By midnight, Jake and Lily had dozed off on the couch, their breathing slow and steady. Mia sat in the recliner, but sleep wouldn't come, and neither did Mark's. He lay on his sleeping bag on the floor, completely still. His back was turned to her, his breathing quiet, but something felt wrong. Mia stared at him for a long moment, then a soft sound, barely more than a breath, but enough to make her skin crawl. It wasn't coming from Mark. It was coming from the corner of the room. Mia's heart pounded. Slowly, she turned her head. The shadows there seemed darker. Her throat tightened as a shape began to emerge. Tall, impossibly thin, not human. Mia's pulse thundered in her ears. She wanted to scream, to wake the others, but fear clamped down on her throat like a vice. The figure remained motionless, watching. Then, Mark inhaled sharply. Mia snapped her gaze back to him, just as his body jerked violently. His limbs twitched, fingers clawing at the floor. Mark, she whispered. He let out a choked gasp. His eyes shot open, wide and unseeing. Then he sat up. Mia's blood turned to ice. His head tilted slightly, his expression blank. He wasn't looking at her. He was looking through her. Then, in a low, rasping voice, he spoke. They know you called them. Mia couldn't move. Mark's mouth twitched into something that might have been a smile. Except, it was all wrong. Then, just as suddenly as it started, his body relaxed. He blinked a few times, looking around groggily. Mia. His voice was normal again. Mia's hands were shaking. You were talking in your sleep. she managed to say. Mark rubbed his face. Weird dream. But Mia knew better. This was no dream. Something had followed them from the game, and it wasn't done playing. The next morning, the tension in the air was suffocating. No one talked about what had happened the night before, but the exhaustion on their faces said it all. Mark avoided eye contact. Lily kept rubbing her arms as if she were cold, even though the heater was on. Jake sat with his arms crossed, staring at his untouched plate of food. Mia couldn't take it anymore. We need to do something. Jake let out a humorless chuckle. Like what? Call an exorcist. I'm serious, Mia snapped. Something is in this house. You all know it. Lily shifted uncomfortably. We don't even know what it wants. Mia turned to Mark. You, too? Mark flinched. What? Last night, she pressed. You said they know you called them. Who are they, Mark? Mark's jaw tightened. I don't know. Yes, you do, Mia said. You remember more than you're letting on. Mark slammed his hand on the table, making them all jump. I said I don't know. His voice was sharp, almost different. Silence fell over the room. Mark blinked, then ran a shaky hand through his hair. I didn't mean to yell. Mia's stomach twisted. He was losing control, and whatever had followed them was winning. That night, Mia refused to sleep. She sat in the living room watching Mark from a safe distance. He had been restless all day, pacing the house, mumbling to himself. Lily and Jake had tried to distract themselves with movies, but the tension never left. By midnight, everyone else had drifted off, except for Mark. He sat by the window, staring outside, completely still. Mia swallowed hard. Mark. He didn't answer. She slowly got up and moved closer. Mark, talk to me. Still, nothing. Then, it's coming. Mia froze. His voice was hollow, like someone else was speaking through him. What's coming? She whispered. Mark turned his head slowly, and that's when she saw it. His eyes, pitch black. Mia stumbled back. Mark's lips curled into a smile. Not his usual smirk. Something else. Something wrong. You shouldn't have played, he murmured. Now you're part of it. Mia's breath hitched. Part of what? Mark stood up in a single unnatural movement. The game. Then, before she could react, the lights flickered. A deep, guttural whisper filled the room. Mia's pulse pounded as a shadow stretched across the walls. Something huge, twisting, unnatural. Jake and Lily shot up, startled by the noise. What the? Jake started, but then he saw Mark. Or rather, what wasn't Mark anymore. Lily gasped. His eyes. Mark's head tilted. You're all in their world now. Then, the lights went out. Darkness swallowed them whole, and the real nightmare began. The darkness pressed in from all sides. Mia's breath came in short, ragged gasps. The room had vanished into shadows, the only sound a deep, unnatural whisper swirling around them. Then, movement. Not from Mark, from something else. Jake cursed under his breath. What's happening? Lily grabbed Mia's arm, her grip ice cold. Mia, what do we do? Mia tried to think, but her mind was spinning. They had played the game, opened a door, and now something had come through, and it wasn't leaving. The whispering grew louder, the shadows thickened, and Mark was changing. His body twitched, his head jerking at unnatural angles. His mouth moved, but the words weren't his. You called us. You played. Now, it's our turn. Mia's stomach clenched. We need to stop this. Jake shook his head. How? Mia forced herself to think. The game had started with the spirit board. Maybe it could end with it too. The board, she said. We have to finish the game. Lily's eyes widened. Are you insane? But Mia was already moving. The board was still in the corner where they had left it. She grabbed it, hands shaking, and sat in front of it. Lily and Jake hesitated before kneeling beside her. Mark, or the thing inside him, watched, his black eyes gleaming. Mia swallowed hard and placed her fingers on the planchette. Jake and Lily did the same. The second they touched it, the room shifted. The walls pulsed. The air turned heavy. Then, the planchette moved on its own. Yes. A cold shiver ran down Mia's spine. Who are you? The planchette jerked violently. We play. Lily's hands trembled. What do you want? Your turn. Mia's heartbeat thundered. We don't want to play anymore. The planchette stopped. For a long, terrible moment, nothing happened. Then, the whispering turned into laughter. Low, guttural, echoing from all sides. Mia's hands clenched into fists. We're ending this. Now. She moved the planchette to goodbye. A sharp wind ripped through the room. Mark let out a strangled gasp, his body convulsing. The darkness twisted, recoiling like a wounded animal. Then, everything collapsed. Mia woke up on the floor. The house was silent. The lights were back on. The air felt lighter. She pushed herself up, glancing around. Jake and Lily stirred beside her, and Mark was lying still. Mia's heart clenched. Mark, he groaned softly. His eyes fluttered open, his normal blue eyes. What happened? Mia exhaled shakily. We ended the game. Mark blinked, confused, but Mia didn't care. She pulled him into a hug, relief washing over her. It was over, or so they thought, because in the corner of the room, the board sat untouched, and the planchette, it had moved. Hello,